I feel like everyone has pretty strong opinions about, do we really need preseason anymore? Damien, I'm going to get to you in a second, but Dan, there are discussions, actual serious discussions being had that we may never see preseason again in terms of games. What do we know? What have you gathered? Give us an idea.
Well, so the current collective bargaining talks between players and owners, it seems like the expansion of the season has become a more important priority for the owners than people thought it was going to be at the outset of these talks. And hand in hand with that, they try and they say, well, we'll cut back on preseason games so we can expand the regular season or expand the playoffs or a little bit of both. So there is a sense around the league that preseason games are, useless and stupid, which I believe that they are. I think that, fewer and fewer top players are playing in them, as we discussed earlier, and the risk of injury is a significant factor for teams at this point. So what's being discussed is a lot of different things. Owners have brought up the possibility of an 18-game regular season and 2 preseason games. They brought up the possibility of a 17-game regular season and what that would do to the preseason. Possibility of adding a new playoff team in each conference per year and giving only one team a first-round bye. So the preseason is likely to shrink as a result of the plan that the owners hope they can pull off to expand the season. I don't know. To me, it's like they could shrink the preseason if they wanted to without expanding the season. They just don't want to give back the money that they make.
Mike, we went through your checklist before as a GM of all the things that you're looking for to come up with this 53-man roster. But of those things, it seems like you actually need game time to see these guys play, whether or not they're good enough football players. Am I wrong here? Would it make a GM's job difficult if you got rid of preseason games?
Well, like we talked about in the meeting before, with the evolution of these joint practices, that's a great way to get veterans ready to go in a very controlled environment in terms of certain pass rushers against offensive linemen. It's a great way to evaluate your players, and maybe it's a way you could grow the fan base from a standpoint of maybe you televise them a little bit more, you're making them more open, maybe they're in geographically neutral places. And I think with 2 preseason games and a robust sort of joint practice schedule, you could still accomplish everything you need from a football standpoint. And to go back to Dan's point, if we did, in fact, expand one more round of the playoffs, that's just going to grow the pie for everybody, both the owners and the playoffs. And to me, that makes a lot of sense because now you're taking away 2 poor games that people don't want to see. You're adding another round of competitive games. Maybe you have 7 teams per conference with the first seed getting a bye, and that's good for everybody because now you're growing the revenue.
Here's the thing. I remember covering the AFC Championship game 2 years ago between the Jags and the Patriots, and they had joint practices together in the summertime. And the one thing that the Patriots defense actually revealed to me in postgame was that they watched the tape from that practice in the summer, and it helped them get ready for the Jags. Even though it was the summer and it was months ago, they were able to go back to see what receivers were giving them problems on one-on-one, man-to-man stuff. It was really interesting. So that's the risk you're taking. But if it means...
Yeah, that's on the Jaguars for looking the same in January as they did in August, right? That shouldn't happen.
That is a very, very good point, Dan. Way to end that segment perfectly. All right, guys, still to come on NFL Live, we are celebrating 100 years of the NFL.